my friends. Welcome to Emotional Café. Here I have a session under the rain, as you can see. This is part of the scenery that I use when I'm doing boot camp here in Ocala, Florida. And I wanted to share with you. My name is Xiomara Mayo Ingram, and today we have the topic, making amends. And for those of you that might be related to someone to a recovery treatment or recovery program, or maybe those people that go through self-help groups might be very familiar with the term making amends. But actually making amends is something that touches all, because when we harm other person, when we act in a way that other person feels hurt or offended or upset, it is our responsibility to make amends and to make a difference. So that's what the topic is today. We've been talking about choices all month of June, and I thought this was a perfect topic to end the month, because making amends is also a choice that we make. And I'm going to be able to wrap it up later and tell you why is that. But let's first define what it really means, making amends. Some people call it repairing relationship, restoring relationship. And what they really mean is that something has been damaged, and that damage needs repair. It needs to be repaired. It needs to be restored. It means fixing or changing for the better. That's what making amends also means. Fixing, changing for the better. Compensating, and this is really important because it means that somehow we give back. We do something in return to make that person feel better about what had happened. So compensation is really important when we're making amends. Rectify. That's a way that we look at ourselves and realize that we've done something wrong. To correct, or to do something good to show you are sorry about something that you've done. To me, that is the best definition ever of making amends. To do something good in order to show that you are really sorry about something that you've done. It might be something you said, it might be something you did, it might be the way you acted, it might be the way you behaved, it might be something you say about that person. But what it really means to make amends is the fact that you accept your responsibility and you do something in order to show this other person that you feel sorry about what happened. Now, when we're making amends, I can tell you there are certain things that we need, that are required, that we have and that we practice in order to make amends. But the truth is that we get obstacles that get in the way, and it's what I call barriers that will stop you from making that amend. And I wanted to bring both for you to kind of look at it from the perspective of something that I need to practice, something that I need to develop, something that I need to nurture in order to make amends, versus something that is there stopping me from doing what I am supposed to do. The first thing is humility, being humble. And what it means by being humble, because sometimes people confuse the term and they think that humility means that you put yourself down and that you put others ahead of you and that you don't consider your own needs, and that's not what I'm talking about. Being humble means that you actually realize and accept that you did something that was not right. Maybe it was not wrong to your own way of thinking, but it was not right. And it hurt someone. It made someone feel bad. It made someone feel hurt or upset or any kind of negative emotion they felt because of this. So being humble means that you accept that responsibility, accepting that you did that and that caused the harm. What stops you from making amends and from being humble is pride. You want to justify and you want to find reasons why you acted the way you acted. And I totally get you, because that's how I used to be. And sometimes, if I'm not careful, I tell you that's how I can act. Pride gets in the way when we're trying to be humble. And when pride comes along and you've done something that has hurt someone, you need to remember this. You need to keep this in mind so you stop your pride from really giving you all the reasons not to make the amend you need to make. Because again, this is about relationships, and it doesn't matter what type of relationship you're in. It can be with a friend, it can be with your spouse, it doesn't matter. It can even be with your children. But when you do something that causes some harm to others, it is your responsibility to make amends. And again, it's to show by doing something that you're really sorry about what you did. Another requirement that you need to have in order to make the amends is the willingness to do it. Without willingness, it doesn't matter the reasons I give you. You have to be willing to make amends. You have to be willing to do right when you've done wrong. And what gets in the way of willingness is usually procrastination and justifying ourselves. Again, we start giving reasons to leave it for later. Maybe I'll talk to this person next week. Maybe I'll talk to this person tomorrow. But then it gets to a point that we look back and we go like, oh, it has happened. It's been so long already that I don't even think it's worth it. I'll forget about it and we'll go on and we'll see what happens. No. When we're procrastinating, we're just avoiding to do what we're supposed to do. But by exercising and practicing our willingness, we are again hand in hand with being humble, accepting our responsibility, and being able to move forward to help that relationship be restored. Another important requirement is to detach from, to let go, what? Your resentment. Because usually when we do something, sometimes when we start justifying, we start finding those reasons and we hold on to those reasons so hard so we don't have to make the amends. We have to let go of those resentments. We have to detach from those resentments and not nurture them, because we need to be able to do what it takes to help our relationship. And again, the obstacle that comes when we're trying to detach is the holding on, the attachment to those specific reasons why I acted the way I acted. And again, it's just another form of pride that we're showing. Finally, change. We have to make changes. We have to make adjustments. When you're making amends, it's all about making changes. It's about going against your nature, because probably what you want to do is not do anything about it, but you got to go and face this person and say you're sorry and make the changes that you need to make in order for it not to happen again. And sometimes what gets in the way is keeping our old patterns. Those are the patterns that we know. That's the attitude that we feel comfortable with. Those are the familiar behaviors. So it's easy just to continue with the old patterns. And when we're making amends, part of what it takes is for us to realize what we did wrong and to realize how we can avoid it from happening again. Now, if you ask me, Xiomara, how do we make amends? I don't know how to make amends. I don't know, and this is something that I can totally relate to, because I remember saying, I don't want to do anything wrong because I don't want to ask for forgiveness. I don't know how to say I'm sorry. I don't know how to say forgive me. Well, that's awesome. Don't do anything wrong and you don't have to use it. But guess what? We're humans. We all make mistakes. How do we make amends? The first thing that you need to do is to take your own self-inventory. Not someone else's. Don't put the spotlight to what that person said or that person did or what you think it made you act the way you acted. No. Make yourself your whole list of your own actions, your own attitudes, your behaviors. What happened? That's your self-inventory. Number 2, you have to accept that you have done something wrong, something that caused some sort of harm to others, some sort of damage. And number 3, we need to be entirely willing to first apologize, to say we're sorry, to ask for forgiveness, and number 2, to do it all over, to do all possibly we can in order not to do it again. How we can prevent it from happening. How can I stop from doing it again? So that willingness is what's going to make a difference. Finally, you have to let go on the results. Because let me tell you this, and this might be the part that you don't like about this session. You can go to someone and say you're sorry. You can go to someone and make amends. And yet that person chooses not to hang out with you anymore, not to be your friend, not to continue with that relationship. I'm very sorry to tell you, that's not your result. That's up to that person. And you cannot force someone to feel a certain way about something that you did just simply because you said you were sorry, just simply because you made the amends. Making amends means that you do what's right to show that you're sorry, but that result and whatever that person decides to do with what you did is not up to you anymore. And I know that's the hardest part, because we want to be forgiven. And if I say I'm sorry, and this is me I'm talking about, if I say I'm sorry, you better make me feel that you understand that I'm sorry and that you accept my feelings. Well, guess what? It doesn't happen like that. And sometimes we have to learn that the hard way. But making amends is what's going to give you peace, is what gives me peace when I have done something wrong, regardless what the other person chooses to do. I want you to think about a question that I constantly ask myself, and it has helped me a lot to kind of remember the sense of all this session, which is helping me to put myself in someone else's shoes. Putting in someone else's shoes always helps us to put things in perspective. Am I doing others exactly what I would like them to do to me? Am I treating others the way that I want them to treat me? Am I acting with others the way that I would like them to act with me? When you ask yourself that simple question, when you keep that in mind, it's going to help you. I tell you, because of my own experience, it has kept me and it has helped me keep myself away from lots of problems. Just by considering before I do something, taking into consideration if I'm actually acting and behaving and doing what I would like the other person to do if it was me. That helps a lot. My recommendations for you today are simple. Make sense, admit, and make up. Make sense means that you go over the situation and you realize what you felt, what was that made you act the way you did, what happened. You go over it so you make sense of it. Admit means that you accept your feelings and that you accept that you did something wrong, and you can probably ask yourself if you're becoming responsible of how you felt at that moment. And make up means corrections. It means that you think about how you can compensate the other person for the harm or for the wrongdoing, and most important, how can I prevent it from happening again? How can I stop myself from acting the same way again or hurting others the same way I just did? Finally, my friends, I want to remind you that everything we do in our life is our choice. It is our choice to be fully aware of what I do at all times, how I feel at all times, and my choices, how I get to act based on my emotions and feelings. But also is a choice when I give my peace away. They don't take it from me. Protecting my inner peace is important, and the way I do it is by living in harmony with myself and others. So keep these recommendations in mind and keep these simple tips. And again, this is what Emotional Cafe is about. I want to remind you that I'm here for you. I can assist you with individual sessions by Skype. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. You can send me an email and I'll contact you personally to coordinate a session for you that is convenient and at the best time, possibly for both of us. Or you can come and join me in one of my bootcamp sessions in which we can work more intensively with whatever issues you're dealing with. My name is Samara Mayo Ingram, and I hope to see you next week in our session of Emotional Cafe again. See you then.